of analysis, we are going to study some techniques, which is first chromatography, and then there is TLC, and then there is GLC and HPLC. Maybe you have ever heard the term uh, TLC, GLC, and HPLC. The famous right now is HPLC. It's quite long. When I was in bachelor, I did the TLC. Okay, TLC analysis, and then for this one chromatography, we are going to see the concept here, developing the technique. The chromatography is using very small amount of sample. It's very little amount. It is not huge. It's only little amount of sample like we had ever done in grade 9. In grade 9, we did an paper chromatography, which is using only small amount of sample we put on the starting line, and then put inside the dip into the solvent, and then the solvent rises up into onto the finishing line. And we know already also the reason why the starting line and the finishing line should be drawn using pencil or using graphite, because graphite is insoluble in water, so and also insoluble in most solvents, so we use pencil, we never use a pen. And also this one chromatography is based on the two, which is a mobile phase and a stationary phase. Stationary phase is solid with adsorb a mixture of solid or a thin film of liquid on the surface of an inert solid. So this term, new vocab, maybe we had ever learned. There are two. One is absorb using AB, and one is using adsorb. Absorb is like water in sponge. So the water is being absorbed by the sponge, goes inside. But adsorb is not only go inside, but making a bond. And then let's see one by one. Paper chromatography,
Teacher, wait. Before there are two parts. What? Absorb and
adsorb and absorb. How to
what are the
pronounce? A D or
absorb?
Absorb and
A B?
absorb. There is a ID instead of AB.
Yes.
AAT.
AD delta.
Oh, oh. Okay, okay.
One AD delta, and one is AB beta. So
What was the
absorb
difference
and
again?
absorb.
If absorb is only like sponge, if adsorb makes a bond, right? You said before.
Yeah, it's not only go inside but make a bond. And then this one paper chromatography is smooth filter paper, but with an accurate and constant thickness.
This
Contains,
one is what? Adsorb or absorb?
yeah, this one, the concept is adsorb. There is a molecules, the solute and the solvent, they dissolve and then they move upward in the
Sorry to ask,
pen.
where is the adsorb word here?
Adsorb is after it goes inside and then making bond, making,
With the paper?
yeah,
Hmm.
with the paper,
It makes a
the
bond with the
solvent.
paper?
Yeah, there is an adsorption.
Okay.
Okay,
Oh,
but the adsorption, this one makes the solute carried by the solvent can move, can move. If it is the bonding is very strong, very strong, then it will not move at all.
Oh, so van der Waals?
If van der Waals, it will move up. It is carried by the solvent. Okay, so please put attention this one. Later you will get the concept of adsorbing and absorbing.
Okay.
Okay, this layer, this so the paper chromatography is made up of uh, layer of water molecules is the stationary phase. Let's read from the beginning. Although it may appear dry to touch, chromatography paper contains water molecules hydrogen bonded to the OH group on its cellulose molecules. So paper chromatography is made up of cellulose. There is a water molecules hydrogen bonded. We know you have learned in biology the structure of cellulose. Uh, at least you have ever seen the structure of cellulose. There is a OH, and this OH make a hydrogen bonding with the water molecules. This layer of water molecules is stationary phase. So, what is stationary phase? Is it the
The phase
solvent?
that
Is it the
moves.
solute? Or is it the paper?
The stationary phase.
Yeah.
I'm guessing the
I think that's just the. I think that's the paper.
yeah,
Yes.
is it the
Exactly.
paper?
Yeah. It is
Because the
stationary
one
phase.
the
Isn't
one
that
that
also
The
forms
called
what?
one is
matrix?
The
little
paper.
paper. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have to know what is stationary and what is mobile.
So the mobile is the
Liquid,
Solvent.
I think.
solvent and the stationary is the paper. Okay.
Yeah. The moving phase is chosen to be less polar than water. It is usually an
Less polar.
organic solvent or a mixture of
Mm.
solvent, ethanol, and ethanol water mixture is often used. Okay, so this is the separation by partition. In in this one, in chromatography, there is a partition in the when they are separated. So there is a solid support, and then there is a solute molecules dissolved in stationary liquid phase. This is the circle, the blue circle, and then the empty this one is called solid support, and then there is a stationary liquid phase, and then there is a solute molecule dissolved in the mobile liquid phase. So can you imagine using your 3D imagination, like there is in paper inside the paper there is a like the pipe line which is called as stationary liquid phase. Okay, this is path the path, and then the path, of course, it is located at the paper. The paper itself is called solid support, and then we put a drop of a sample on starting line, and then we put inside deep into the solvent. The, the sample that we put on the starting line is called as the solute. And then solvent we put inside, it is the mobile liquid phase. So when as go inside, then the solute dissolved directly move up. Move up in where? In the uh, path which is called as the stationary liquid. So the stationary liquid, we never imagined that it is like a long pipe, but it turned out it is make its own path. Sometimes it's curvy, sometimes it is not. So it is not straight. Okay, and then when we do paper chromatography, we must have a reference compounds. What is the reference compound? Reference compound. Now this reference compound, they are written on a data booklet. Data booklet example like the RF equal to 0.5, RF equals to 0.34.
As in right there in the back, the one that we have.
Oh, we do not have this chromatography
Oh,
concept for A level. We need to know, but I hardly find any question with chromatography. I hardly find. Why? Because chromatography paper is the easiest to calculate.
oh,
The
of course
starting
they choose the
question
hardest.
the starting question in A level, it is start from mass spectrometry, and then infrared spectrum, and then NMR, because those required quite quite interpretation. The straightforward is not the question in A level. This is chromatography paper is straightforward, because why, in A level I hardly find question what is the stationary phase, what is the mobile phase. That is, I have never seen that question before. So it is not there, but we need to know what is stationary phase, what is mobile phase, because it is written on the textbook. Okay, and then this one, the solvent, I'm reading let's from this one. Okay, in this one, a spot of solution analyzed to be edge of rectangular sheet. So the paper has to be rectangular, and then along with other spots, reference distance. After some spot, the edge is placed in chromatography tank, which is the solvent developing the chromatogram. And then as it passes the point where the spots have been applied, so the starting line has to be above than the level of the solvent. The When it is already applied, the compounds in the mixture are partitioned between the stationary water layer and the moving solvent, depending on their quality. So from this concept, we know that last time, if you recall, when we did experiment about chromatography, I used the uh, was that whiteboard marker, and then also food coloring. Food coloring will goes up along with the solvent, but the whiteboard marker will remain, because why? Because whiteboard marker is made up of alcohol or organic solvent. We know organic is non-polar. Non-polar cannot dissolve in polar. That makes the uh, sample could not rises up. Okay. So in grade 12 we are learning what was the reason when we did the experiment. When the solvent almost reached the end of the sheet of paper, the paper is taken out of the tank and allowed to dry. And then this one, if the sample is not giving color, then we have to use coloring agent. It is called as ninhydrin.
Anhydrine.
Yeah, ninhydrin. I'm sure you have ever seen the application of ninhydrin in serial movie CSI. When spray with ninhydrin, every organic or any spot will be visible. And then next, general visualizing agent for most organic solvent for almost all organic compounds is iodine. Why is it iodine? Because iodine is volatile. It can evap it can evaporate at room temperature and pressure. With little bit of higher temperature it will evaporate, and then cool down there will be brown brown spots. Okay, so this one, the this chromatography is two-dimensional, and then paper chromatography are uh, recommended to have two ways. What is the meaning? Is one is vertical, and the other, and at this and with the same paper we have to do the landscape. So like this one mixture after running the first solvent, and then there is a put in the second, rotate paper through 90-degree, and then after that we can find the exact. This is just the confirmation of how to use the whether the data that we collect from paper chromatography to be correct or incorrect. And then the second is TLC. Before I continue, uh, let me ask to
Hello?
hello, yeah. Let me ask
Hello?
to
Hello,
uh,
hello?
yes. Let me ask to Nicholas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Nicholas, is paper chromatography qualitative or
Yo?
quantitative? Hello.
Yeah? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here.
Is paper chromatography will give the result qualitative or quantitative?
Qualitative or quantitative?
Yes.
Because there you can find the RF value, I think it's quantitative.
No, it is qualitative
Why is that so?
because the spot the spot goes up. We only can count the RF. All the all the chromatography will give RF values. But in paper chromatography, do we know how many percent of that uh, being separated of that particular component in the respective substance?
Ah,
We are not able to tell, but only paper chromatography only can tell us whether there is
difference.
or there is not. Example, is there any blue color in a mixture of color? If yes, then the RF value will show RF of blue. But
I see, I see, I see.
how many percent of blue are there in the mixture? It is,
You don't know.
yeah, it cannot tell. It only can tell the presence. Is there or there is or is there not? That is the meaning of qualitative. So qualitative and quantitative is like height. Qualitative, short, tall, medium. How tall? We do not know, just qualitative. If quantitative, 50 centimeter, 1 meter, 2 meter, that is quantitative. Okay, so in this concept, we have to learn about quantitative and qualitative. And then TLC. TLC here, the technique of TLC is similar to paper chromatography, but the theory behind it is rather different. Is there any mobile phase and stationary phase? There is. The concept, the concept in paper chromatography, the separation is by partition. This one, TLC, the separation is by adsorption. So already two. So we know two, there are two. One is partition and the other one is adsorption. Okay, I have made also, or later on I will attach on the Google Classroom uh, the material for this one. I have made the presentation, this one. I took the presentation, this one, from the previous grade 12 A level.
Okay.
Okay, so they made based on their own understanding. So I hope this one also the same as your own understanding.
Okay.
Okay. This one I will put on Google Classroom. And then this one, let's go back to this one. The TLC, is it heavy, Nicholas?
Not really.
Not really.
Just
Yeah.
no, no. I'm just feeling a bit tired and a bit
Hmm.
yeah.
TLC relies on the fact that the attractive forces that cause different compounds to be adsorbed onto a solid surface differ from one compound to another. So TLC is thin layer chromatography. There is a layer. Layer is the solid surface. The solid used is powdered silica or alumina. So silicon dioxide and aluminum oxide with small size of particles providing large surface area per gram, and it is coated onto a glass, plastic or thin aluminum plate. So it is using aluminum plate. Okay. I think today we are learning about the paper chromatography. Tomorrow, we will have class with the major. Then minor, I will give homework. Okay. So after this, you're going to have your lunch. So today, until today, AS level or minor already studied about alkene, and I need you to review again at home. And then we will, for minor, we will have class again on Wednesday. For major, tomorrow we will have class, and I'm going to continue about TLC, also HPLC and GLC. Okay, is there
Okay.
any question?
No.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone, and
Okay.
discuss with
Thank you,
you
teacher.
also
Good
tomorrow.
afternoon and thank you, teacher.
Yes, good afternoon.
Thank you.